Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. The investigation by the House Committee on Oversight into the Biden family's business dealings, revealing bank records made public today which showed a complex money trail from multiple countries. House GOP investigators say it went to President Biden and nearly a dozen members of his family in exchange for influence in United States policy decisions. NTD's Melina Wisecup has more from Capitol Hill. Melina, what more did you learn about this ongoing investigation today?
So $10 million, 20 companies, and 4 bank accounts. That's essentially what's laid out in the House Oversight Committee's latest memo. The lawmakers kept pointing to what they call a pattern of foreign cash flow. They gave examples where countries, including Romania and Chinese Communist Party officials, would deposit money into so-called shell companies, and then repeatedly 1/3 of that money would make its way into the bank accounts of Biden family members.
Robinson Walker received a $3 million wire from State Energy HK Limited, a Chinese entity. Over the next 3 months, Robinson Walker LLC sent 16 incremental payments to over 5 different Biden accounts.
For what? What did they do? What was the business? What service did they provide? What value did they add?
But the question remains, is there evidence that President Biden himself is directly involved? It sounds like you all are still trying to prove President Biden's direct involvement here.
We believe that there was a return on the investment. The vice president during the last year of the Obama administration traveled around the world. He talked a lot about foreign aid in different countries. If you're doing something legitimate, if you're providing something of value, why not just get the payment directly from the payer?
And Congressman Byron Donalds, after that presser, pointed out to me a specific policy where he's looking at, that is Hunter Biden's involvement in a cobalt company based in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Meanwhile, the president of the United States literally has his home bill from last Congress that puts about $1.2 trillion in subsidies directly to the energy sources that use cobalt.
Now, President Biden has repeatedly denied that his family members have received money from China or from other countries. The White House today dismissing it as a way for the House GOP to gain political points, writing in a statement that the allegations are a pattern of making absurd claims. And House Democrats today also shrugged it off when I asked them whether they felt there needs to be more transparency.
To look at anything that the Oversight Committee is doing without a healthy layer of skepticism. They seem more intent on stoking conspiracy theories than anything else.
So, Melina, where would you say this investigation is headed?
Chairman Comer today laid out just 4 banks that are involved here, but he says there are as many as 12 banks, and he says he is preparing to issue a fresh round of subpoenas to those banks. Now, Congressman Byron Donalds says that he believes it's only a matter of time before they connect this evidence back to President Biden directly. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
Title 42 is expiring, and Homeland Security today saying illegal immigrants will have it harder from now on, pointing to Title 8 and laying out a new plan. But what exactly does Title 8 do? NTD's Arian Pazdar spoke with a former special agent.
You will be returned.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on Wednesday making clear that the border is not open, although Title 42 ends on Thursday. He says illegal immigrants previously processed under Title 42 will now be handled using Title 8, which apparently has even stricter rules.
Unlike under Title 42, an individual who is removed under Title 8 is subject to at least a 5-year bar on re-entry into the United States and can face criminal prosecution if they attempt to cross again.
But what exactly is Title 8 and why hasn't it been used before? I spoke with former Supervisory Special Agent for ICE and Homeland Security, Victor Avila.
Well, Title 8 is nothing new. I worked Title 8 all my career as a special agent. Title 8 is the law. For some reason, people think that Title 8 is this new thing that's going to kick in. What's going to kick in is the enforcing of our laws, and that's the big difference here, something that we should have been doing from the very beginning.
Mayorkas on Wednesday announced more plans to deal with the expiration of Title 42, such as creating legal pathways for migrants, including 100 foreign migration hubs. Mayorkas says people who don't use those pathways to enter the U.S. won't be eligible for asylum. and a digital advertising campaign in South America, showing accurate information about U.S. immigration laws. Homeland Security says that's to counter the lies of the smugglers, who say the border will be open after Title 42 expires. Also on Wednesday, House Democrats held a press conference opposing the Republican-backed immigration bill H.R. 2, about which Democrats say,
"That's the Child Deportation Act."
H.R. 2 would restart construction of the border wall, deploy technology, increase the number of Border Patrol agents, and more. However, according to House Democrats, it would also
eliminate our parole system and make it impossible for those fleeing violence or natural disasters to cross our borders between ports of entry and seek asylum. It would destroy our American businesses and upend our nation's food system by imposing nationwide E-Verify.
In response, House Democrats on Wednesday introduced the Citizenship Act, which they say would address the root cause of immigration and create safe ways for people to come to the U.S. The House is set to vote on H.R. 2 on Thursday, where it's expected to pass. Ariane Pastar, NTD News.
Arrested, New York Congressman George Santos has been released on a $500,000 bond after he was arraigned in federal court earlier today. He faces 13 charges, including fraud and money laundering. NTD's Arlene Richards has the details.
Fraudulent schemes and brazen misrepresentations. That's how federal prosecutors describe the alleged actions of Congressman George Santos. Santos is facing a 13-count indictment returned on Tuesday by a federal grand jury. Santos surrendered earlier today and was arraigned this afternoon at the federal courthouse in central Islip, New York. He pleaded not guilty and is expected to be released on a $500,000 bond. The embattled Republican representative was elected to Congress last November and sworn in as the U.S. representative for New York's 3rd Congressional District in January. Federal prosecutors had launched an investigation last December into his speculative financial disclosure filings. Santos had admitted that he lied about his education, work history, and numerous aspects of his personal life. We asked some of his constituents for their reactions.
If you perform not so good actions, you'll get the return on your investment.
The guy is not suited for Congress.
The indictment returned by a federal grand jury on Tuesday states that Santos applied for and received unemployment benefits while he was employed and running for Congress. It further states that he pocketed campaign contributions and used that money to pay down personal debts and buy designer clothing. The 13 counts include 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of making materially false statements to the House of Representatives. A number of House Republicans are calling for Santos to resign.
He should have resigned a long time ago. He's an embarrassment to our party. He's an embarrassment to the United States Congress.
If the charges have veracity and they're true, then he should not be a member.
But House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is taking a neutral stance.
You walk through like every American. You have your day in court and go through it, just like when another member inside the House. Santos would never put on committee, so he won't serve on committee. He will go through his time of trial, and we'll find out how the outcome is.
The charges in the indictment are just allegations, but if Santos is convicted of the charges, he could face a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison.
Not backing down, President Biden today reaffirming his opposition to Republicans' demands to cut spending. What's next in the heated fight over how to raise the nation's debt limit? NTD's Iris Tao has the latest from the White House.
Ahead of another meeting with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, President Biden is staying on offense and pushing back again against Republicans' plan to cut spending in exchange for raising the nation's debt ceiling. Here's what President Biden said in a speech in New York on Wednesday. Watch.
They're literally, not figuratively, holding the economy hostage unless we give in to their threats and demands as to what they think we should be doing with regard to the budget.
And basically, Biden's message here is that he wants to separate whether or not to raise the nation's debt ceiling from a larger discussion he is willing to have on how the federal government should spend its money. But he's also highlighting fundamental differences in how he versus Republicans would like spending cuts to be done. Watch.
Would you rather cut big pharma or cut health care for Americans?
But of course, Republicans do not agree with how President Biden is characterizing their plan. And here's House Speaker Kevin McCarthy pushing back on Biden's claims after a meeting they had on Tuesday at the White House.
That's a lie. This is a political game they're trying to play instead of sit down and really negotiate.
But Biden and congressional leaders will meet again on Friday to talk about the debt ceiling, and we will see if they will come together to make any concession or reach any common ground as the clock continues to tick toward a national default that could come as early as June. Reporting from the White House, Adversaries, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.